Welcome to Long Story Short. I'm Kejan Haynes. Let's get straight into what's becoming a fan favorite segment on this show. It's the immediate reaction to Prime Minister Rowley's COVID-19 lockdown, no lockdown, hyper worrying, anxiety inducing press conferences. All right, first up, we have to check out the wardrobe. All right, this is confusing. See, because that's a fairly casual shirt, but there's a tie and a jacket. So are we considering that a full suit? Is it going to be lockdown? What's happening? The meme did not prepare us for this. Breathe, breathe. All right, Mr. Prime Minister, go on.
I think this afternoon is a good time for us to review what we have done, why we're doing it, in the context of the conversations that took place in the last 2 weeks since we met.
Let's recap. No. Where's the skip intro button? Come on, speed it up, speed it up.
Tell you, our country is one of the few countries in the world that is opening up and going back to some semblance of normalcy. Even as we acknowledge that, as we do that, we are taking a huge risk, because persons who have done that before us, countries that have done that before us, many of them now are experiencing huge negative reactions and are going back to even shutting down.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense, but still, speed it up, speed it up.
I am hoping that we could be in a situation in January to have in Trinidad and Tobago our children out to school, whether it's for 1 day a week. What happens to those who are on the other side of the border, and what happens to those who are inside of the border. And that interaction has been one of the areas of discontent as we went along, but we've been managing it, and I would like to ask the Minister of National Security to give us an update as to what has happened so far.
And now we're pausing for Stuart Young. Ugh, good grief. Yeah, all right, so Stuart Young went down the road again, letting us know that there are people who are living abroad and want to come back home. We know that. But now, apparently, there are people who left amidst all of this and now fighting to come back in.
Are those persons who, I don't know how to put it, but jump on those flights to leave, and they expect to then immediately turn around when they finish their business outside and join, and sometimes demanding they jump the queue to get back into Trinidad ahead of those who were stuck outside.
I mean, listen, by no means is the government's repatriation policy great, and there have been a ton of complaints from people who have experienced it, and I can't imagine it's been made any easier. So please, just give them a chance now. Let the people who really need to come home. Okay, announcements. Restaurants, you can have in-house dining again. The whining can stop.
We are prepared to allow in-house dining at 50% capacity, seated in groups of no more than 10. And we're asking restaurateurs, as far as they're able to maintain separation within your establishment. But also, as you feed them with food, we are saying no alcohol to be served.
Ooh, Rowley giveth and Rowley taketh away. You're like, yeah! Oh, no. And of course, I can hear the bar when it's now, you know how much money we make from selling alcohol?
Alcohol and wine sale represents 40% of businesses like mine. So what you really have now is 50% of 60%, which is more like 50%. That also takes away from the experience of coming to a restaurant. So
I'm already hearing reports that people want to sneak in their own alcohol. Come on, guys, don't mess this up. This is all about the workers, and it's really good news for them. As long as the restaurants stay open, they still have a job, okay? I mean, this is kind of like the cinemas thing all over again, like, oh, you can open, but no food. But still, at least cinemas are now open, right? I think there was something about that.
Are prepared at this stage to allow food in cinemas. I hope that those who use food in cinemas would only keep their mask off while they're consuming food.
So, all right, the compromise that you've been wanting is here. You can all go and watch all the latest movies that are being released. Both of them. Bars, all right, you still officially can't congregate. We know you're doing it. And rivers remain closed. Sports teams, national teams can train again, but spectators are limited. Nobody was there anyway. The big one actually goes back to Minister Young. It looks like there have been some changes to repatriation protocols. So Young says from November 15th, anyone returning home must have a negative PCR test 72 hours prior to arrival. And then, of course, once you arrive in Trinidad, you must go into state quarantine or state supervised quarantine for 7 days, and a second test will be administered on the 6th day. Really, this is standard protocol anywhere you travel, and it's great news because it means that people can come home for Christmas as long as you plan your time well.
So if you want to spend Christmas Day with your family, you need to arrive in Trinidad and Tobago with a negative PCR test at least a week before Christmas.
But you also still have to email your exemption. Curses that email is still around. And don't think that there's any Caribbean bubble for us to travel around. That's been popped right now. So all in all, good news somewhat. The Prime Minister seems to be proud of us. Schools, if we do well, schools can reopen. Hold on, that means more traffic. Don't do too well, Don't do too well. Let's go back to the wardrobe a little bit. Casual, we have an addition. Casual shirt and tie apparently now means only a slight tweak to your restrictions. Numbers are still plateauing, meaning they're down, but they could go down further. One thing we know for sure is that this thing isn't over.
Well, since there's no more COVID, I hope you don't mind if I go.
No more COVID?
No, there is COVID. Don't tell the public there's no more COVID. Please. Be serious. Be serious.
I waited for a long time. I waited for a long time to hear that being said. But unfortunately, you're a bit premature.
All right. It caught me off guard too. But to be fair, she was talking about COVID restriction questions. In other words, like, is this segment of the news conference done? Listen, it happens to the best of us. Congrats, guys. We're doing okay. Let's take a break.